Hi, everyone, and welcome to Fox 9 Sports Now. Happy Mother's Day. The Wolves, they're now back in control of their series. Trent Tucker joins us now. And Trent, there are fans talking about ending this on Wednesday night back here. Do you see that? You know what it takes to win an NBA championship. You know how hard it is to close teams out. Do you see the Wolves finishing this in 5?
You know, Jim, they have a great chance to do this is because now they have gotten themselves back in control of this series. And they also know that Golden State is hoping at some point in time, the longer this thing goes along, Steph Curry may have a chance to come back and play. And so with the Wolves in control right now, they want to finish off this thing as quickly as they can.
No doubt about it. You don't want to see that guy walking back out of the court. Now, the Wolves came up with a big win last night, and it was an historic effort by one of the Wolves, Julius Randle. I mean, only the second Wolves player in franchise history in a playoff game with a triple-double. The other, Kevin Garnett. That shows you what kind of level he played at last night. What's made him such a valuable asset in your mind all of a sudden?
You know, Jim, you never want a player to go down with an injury. And I think once he got hurt, he was able to look at this team differently. Also, it gave the coaching staff time enough to sit down and let him understand this is how you can be very effective with inside of our offense. And once he came back after that injury, you saw the consistency in his game, and that has been a big-time plus for the Wolves.
Yeah, it is remarkable. 24 points, 12 assists, 10 rebounds, a stunning stat line. And afterwards, Trent, Coach Finch explains why he thinks Randall has become such a key cog for this club.
It's really what turned our season around was his playmaking, his decision-making, playing through him in different spots on the floor. It took us a little while to figure that out. We've always known he's a really good playmaker. Our time in New Orleans, he played a little bit like this. He gives us just almost another point guard out there. So, yeah, it's everything for us. It's been everything for our turnaround. It's everything for our team.
So you're exactly right, because you said it takes time for him to figure out his role here, and it also takes time for the Wolves to figure out how to use him.
Anytime you make a big trade, there's a lot of pressure. You know, the Wolves got to the Western Conference Finals a year ago. Karl-Anthony Towns played very well.
Correct.
Julius Randle didn't play last year in the playoffs. So now by him coming to Minnesota, he's thinking that I have to live up to what Karl did a year ago with this basketball team. And now you can begin to put too much pressure on yourself at the beginning of the year. I think once he had a chance to get away from the team, and the team had a chance to sit down and talk to him, and they could get on the same page, and now you see the consistent basketball that he's playing.
All right, now, so as you said, Randall was part of that big trade just before camp. He was also shipped over here with Dante DiVincenzo for Karl-Anthony Towns. So just for fun, we put up the stats of what these two have done. Now, these are all of Cat's playoff games last year, so he played in 16 games. This is what Randall has done for the Wolves. And these numbers are stunning how comparable they really are. The only thing that you get more out of Randall is assists, and obviously with Cat, you get more rebounding. So how do you think these two and those two teams compare?
They're different basketball teams. They're different teams because you use Karl in a different situation. He's more of a post-up player. He's a pick-and-pop guy.
Okay.
Well, like, Coach Finch just mentioned, now you can use Julius Randle in different places on the floor. He's almost like a point guard that can handle the basketball at their fourth position. He can read the double team. He can make the right pass at the right time to find an open shooter. So when you have Julius Randle on the floor, it's a different basketball team compared to a year ago.
All right, that's all the good stuff. But for the second time in this series, Trent, Anthony Edwards has had a quiet opening quarter, opening half last night, and wasn't as bad as the first game. The first game was stunning, 1 point in game one. What's your take on Edwards' slow start? And could this be a problem moving forward as the Wolves go deeper?
Well, you would like to hope not. You'd like to see your best player get off to a good start because you know that to make a deep run come playoff time, you need that guy to play a complete basketball game for 40 minutes. And the Wolves know that if Anthony Edwards is not playing at the top of his game, it's going to be very hard for them to win at playoff time.
How about when Finch called him out after game one? I was surprised because Chris Finch is usually in control of what he puts out to the media, the message that he gives all of us. But he came out and used one of his bullets right there on Anthony Edwards. Were you surprised that that happened? And then the response you got game 2.
No, I was glad to see it happen, because that's what coaching is all about. Because you have to let your best players know how important this is. And you're the guy that has to set the tone from an energy standpoint and an effort standpoint. If we are not able to get those things out of you, it's going to be very hard for us to win. So I like what he did after game number 1.
All right, now back to last night and how this team put it away down the stretch with a 21-7 run to erase the Warriors' lead. We cut up some of the highlights for you, Trent. Under 9 to go, Jimmy Butler with this 3, and it kind of seems like there was a mix-up of who should have gone out there.
Well, every once in a while you can lose sight, but you know that coming down the stretch you have to be clued in on the defensive end, because these guys are too good when you make a mistake and they can make you pay.
All right, so the Wolves were down 5, but then here comes Randall. That epic performance, bullying his way to the basket, getting the Wolves right back in it. Then Ant came to light in the 4th. We're here, Randall hitting him for the corner 3. What a big shot here.
Coming down the stretch, the Wolves were able to find their rhythm offensively and defensively. I think their defense became better in the latter part of the basketball game to allow them now to find their rhythm on the offensive end.
And the dagger had to have been this play here. Randall, so smart seeing Rudy coming down the lane.
Well, that's what patience is all about. Experience, understanding the moment. He made the right play at the right time, and Rudy Gobert did a very good job of running the floor for the slam dunk.
All right, so the Wolves win, right? And that's considered clutch time. Now, you know what that is, but I had to look it up. NBA defines it as the final 5 minutes with the game within 5 points. During the regular season, Wolves were terrible in those situations, but in the playoffs, they're 4-0. What's changed?
Well, understand the game plan. Also, the coaching staff now is making sure you understand where the ball is supposed to go in the last 4 or 5 minutes. Let's make sure the ball touches the hand of 1 or 2 players. If the defense responds by taking them out of the game, now the best players know where their outlets are coming from, and that can free up guys now for easier shots from the outside.
It's just stunning how we're just waiting for the wheels to come off as a fan base, and it doesn't happen right now.
Well, patience, understanding, communication is very, very key at this time of the year. If you're going to win a championship, especially when the game is on the line, everybody has to be on the same page.
No doubt about it. All right, straight ahead, Jimmy Butler had a big game last night. It wasn't enough. Have the Wolves taken his best shot? We'll see what Trent thinks about that. And 8 is great for the Twins. They're finally over 500. Highlights and post-game reaction later here on Sports Now. God, you're good. You're good. You just walk up and it's just like the first tee.
Well, you've not been doing this for so long.
I know.
So.
But still, it's amazing just to sit down with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the longer, the farther the Wolves go, it just makes it better for the whole community.
I know.
You know, it allows us to have a chance to, to be a part of this, what I call the spring extravaganza. Because only so few teams and so few cities and communities get a chance to experience this.
Well, I know. And now to do it 2 straight is.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough, to be in New York City as a playoff team, and then going to Chicago, for the epic run to an NBA championship. I mean, everybody's alive. Everybody is buzzing. And, when the weather gets nice and you know that one of your teams is in a position now to make a real serious run toward a championship, I mean, how much fun is that?
I know. This would be, it just seems so strange that they're doing so well, right? Because just so many times you see the shoe fall off, and that's us because we've watched all that. None of these players understand that or have
we've seen it
experienced
forever.
it.
I mean, you go back, and I never talk about this on the radio, it's 1998. The Vikings are one game away from the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden, Gary Anderson misses a field goal. He hadn't missed a field goal all year.
Yep.
And because I had some friends of mine at that time, they were like, "We got Super Bowl tickets. Do you want to go with us?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to go." And so when I was at the game with them, they said, "We're all going to the game. Get ready. Pack your bags."
I know.
We're going.
I know.
And then Gary Anderson misses a field goal, and I'm like, well, this is not right.
No, I was there that day. I was just like,
right.
So how much time do we have for this segment, you thinking? Okay, we'll have about 4 minutes to talk about Butler, Draymond, 1 for 4 last night, 2 points, fouled out. Have they found a way to neutralize him? And Curry capable of coming back from that? He's not.
No, he can't.
There's no way.
Now, he might, the longer this thing goes on, it gives Golden State a sense of hope that he could come back.
Right. But because I was surprised that he was back here for game 2 because they flew him home, didn't they?
No. See, all your trainers are here.
Okay, I thought they sent him back to be.
So everybody's in the hotel.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
you can get
everything
around
you
the clock
need here.
treatment for I mean, one year I knocked my shoulder out and I had the trainer come stay with me for 3 days to do around the clock treatment.
Really? Wow. Welcome back to Fox 9 Sports Now. World champion Trent Tucker joins us now. We were just talking about Bulls during the break. Wish we could share that with you, but we got to stick to this series. And we all know Jimmy Butler and his antics and what he could do, and we knew he was going to be a factor. And last night seemed to be his night to take a shot at the Wolves. He pours in 33, but they did not win. So what's next for Jimmy?
Well, he's hoping that Kuminga can have another 30-plus game, and then maybe Draymond Green can help them somewhere, somehow offensively. I just don't know if Golden State can find another consistent guy to get 30-plus points to help out Jimmy Butler, so it could be tough for him trying to find a way to knock off the Wolves.
Yeah, because with Butler, he came in and meshed so quickly with Golden State, and then all of a sudden they became one of the top defensive teams in the NBA. And now they have to kind of retool themselves. You talked about that on In the Zone on Saturday morning on KFan about the fact that Kerr just cleared the bench because he was just trying to see what the heck he can put together to try to keep this team competitive throughout the rest of the series.
Well, Steve Kerr knows right now that he is going to have to try to pull every string he can to find a group that can find rhythm. Without Steph Curry, this is a total different basketball team. I think in the first half of game number 3, they didn't take a three-point shot or make a three-point shot, and that's not the Golden State Warriors. So Steve Kerr has his hands full, he knows that, but he's just hoping that somehow, some way he can win one more game on his home floor, maybe to get this beyond 5 and just give a glimpse of hope to the Warriors fans that Steph Curry could make a return.
All right, Draymond Green was not a factor at all last night. Just took 4 shots, made 1, and he's fouled out. Now, he can still have moments like this where he got a hold of Nas's face. What do you expect from him moving forward? Because Game 3 certainly is something he did not enjoy.
Well, if you're Steve Kerr, you're going to go to Draymond Green and say, hey, when the shots present themselves, you have to take them. We can't play 4 against 5 on the offensive end. That just can't happen. There were a few years ago in Game 7 when we lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers, you had a big game. So I think he has to take him back to that point and let him know that we just have to live. If you miss the shot, we just missed the shot. But the one thing you cannot do when you're in that position is turn the basketball up, because this team is too good in transition and they will make you pay. And the more possessions we give them, it makes it even harder for us to overcome them.
Yeah. All right. And finally, you kind of alluded to this, but Steph Curry, is he truly somebody capable of coming back in this series? I mean, a grade 1 hamstring.
Well, you're seeing stranger things happen, and I think the Golden State Warrior fans are just hoping, that they can extend this thing for as long as they can, so that Steph Curry might just give them a glimpse of hope that he could get back onto the floor.
But the NBA, and what it takes physically, right? It's a huge task if they pull this off.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, because when you lose a guy like Steph Curry, he's very hard to replace. And, he's so much what they do on the offensive end in terms of how they space the floor, how they get out in transition, the three-point shooting. All of a sudden now he makes the defense collapse, and that's when Golden State can find those open three-point looks. They made their run when they got Jimmy Butler. They felt like that with these 2 guys together, they could make a serious run at playoff time. But by not having Steph Curry, it makes it even more difficult for Golden State to do that.
All right, last thing we want to run at you here. Is this Wolves team built better than the one from a year ago to go past the Western Conference Finals. Here are the numbers of the two teams from their first 8 playoff games a year ago. The record is the same, and a lot of it mirrors last year's team. So is this group better with Randle than with Cat to go deeper? And I know there's other pieces too, but that's just the 10,000-foot view.
I would go back to my statement before. It's a different basketball team, and they're finding different ways to win. But what I like about this team, they can beat you in multiple ways. When the three-point shot is going, they're very devastated. But also when the three-point shot is not going, they have guys now who can post up and get to the basket. So when you're able to play multiple ways and you can adjust on the fly, that's a good thing at playoff time.
All right, Trent, thank you so
Anytime,
much.
Jim. Thanks for having me.
Coming in. This is awesome. We should do this again.
I would love
Wolves
to.
keep going. We'll definitely have you. Can you bring the ring one of these times?
I can do that.
Maybe we'll do that. All right.